Today I'm going to show you how to add sound to pretty much any game or app that's displayed on your XMB, even your backed up games, so that when you hover over them, you can hear a sound bite of your choice that you've added. This will work also for apps as well. And it can even be done for PS2 and PS1 games.
This is going to be fun.
I'm going to show you how to do that next, and we're even going to talk about the animations and a lot more. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to the video, and yes, here today we are going to show you how to add sounds to pretty much any games or any apps that are displayed there on your XMB game column. So when you hover over them, they play a sound. There is a lot we need to cover, so please bear with me, watch the whole video. And this little introduction portion before we get started is going to be kind of long because there's a lot we need to cover, and this is also setting up for the next video, which is going to show you how to make an animated icon like the ones I showed you just now. And it's important that you know a couple of things before you tackle this, if you plan on doing that, and also just some other things in general. So let's go ahead and let's get started with the housekeeping portion. All right, and firstly, this really is going to benefit those who have an actual fully jailbroken PS3 the most, because these files here, you can transfer your finished file over very quickly via FTP or using a USB stick. Whereas those of you who are on Han, this will work, but you're going to have to take more steps. Now, I don't keep up with the whole Han scene or whatever since I have fully modded PS3s, but I don't think you can FTP on Han. And if you can't, then you are going to have to unpack that package file, stick this soundbite in there, repackage it, provided you do it correctly, of course, and then stick it in your PS3. So since you're going to be testing the sound clip, I suggest that you pick a very small game, maybe an indie game that's only like 100 or 200 megabytes or something like that, really small, because you're going to have to be unpacking, repacking, and then waiting for it to install and all that. And yeah, it's kind of a hassle. All right, and this next bit of info applies to everybody as well. The PS3, of course, has its limitations, its older technology or whatever, and it shows it right here. This is a prime example of it because the system only allocates 2.4 megabytes of space for your sound file. In other words, when you're done making your sound bite, the finished product, when you put it into the PS3, cannot exceed more than 2.4 megabytes. So the quality and the length combined, you're going to have to mess with them so they don't exceed that number. So yeah, that's not all that much, but wait, it gets better. If you plan on doing an animated icon as well, keep in mind that the animated icon shares this allocated space with the sound file, meaning that your animated icon shares that 2.4 megabytes. So if you plan on adding sound and an animated icon to a game or an app or whatever, combined, they cannot exceed more than 2.4 megabytes. Not each one, combined. That's why I'm doing these videos back to back, so that way you can mess with both the sound and the animation so you can find that right mix. Or of course, you could just dedicate the whole 2.4 to sound, or all of it to just the animated icon, however you want. And the last thing here we're going to cover finally before we get started is that I'm not going to show you how to edit sound files, because there's a million and one programs and apps and software or whatever out there. There's a lot of different ways to do it, so yeah, I'm not going to cover that at all. However, for this tutorial I will be using Odyssey, which is a great free one, and I've been using it for years. I'm going to use it just to point out a couple of key things that you're going to need to know whenever you're messing with your files and you're editing them the way you want. There's a couple of things that you need to look out for, and that's what I'll be using the program for. So now let's go ahead and let's get started. So today we're going to be doing a little soundbite for Mana Guns, the game manager app for fully modded PS3s. You're going to see how that's going to work later on when we install that file. But first things first, if you happen to have Goldwave already installed in your system, which is kind of old sound editing deal, it actually works pretty good. But yeah, you need to make sure that if you have it, go into the help and about deal here and make sure that it's on a version that's 5.54 or older. Now, chances are, if you happen to have it installed, it's going to be newer than that. If it is, use Revo or Geek Uninstaller to fully uninstall it from your system, because we need to install this version. We have to be able to encode in what's called AT3 format, and only I believe this version 5.54 or older are able to do it on Windows. Okay, so go ahead down in the description, download the zip file, open it up, extract the folder there to your desktop. Then you're going to want to open it up, and let's just go ahead and open up the read now instructions that are there. And I wrote down the instructions for you, and we're going to follow along here. All right, so the first step here is we need to manually install the AT3.ACM file into this syswhile64 folder. Now, I'm on Windows 7 64-bit, and most of you are probably on a 64-bit machine. Since a lot of the stuff here is kind of older, it's designed to work for a 32-bit machine. If you have a 32-bit version of Windows 7 or like Windows XP or whatever, 32-bit, then you can probably skip steps 1 and 2. You probably won't find that syswhile64 folder. If you don't, then that means you can skip it because it's designed for a 32-bit system. For the rest of us that are on a 64-bit system, then steps 1 and 2 are necessary. So go ahead and take that AT3.ACM file and just bring it to your C drive, then into Windows, and then into your syswhile64 folder, and just drop it in there. Don't put it into any folder, just stick it straight into that folder. All right, then the next step is you're going to double click on something.reg file. Just double click on it, and that will install something into the registry, so that way this can work on a 64-bit machine. If you want to see what's in there, just change the .reg to .txt, and you can view it with any text editor, so you can see what's in there, and then just change it back to .reg and double click it. Now, once you double click it, we're going to move on to step 3, which is the installation of Goldwave. Now, I've already have it installed in my system, so just double click gwave554.exe and just follow the prompts to fully install it onto your system. Now, when you do and you open it, make sure that you go into the About section here. Make sure you always have this box that says automatically check for updates. Make sure it's always unchecked, and don't ever manually check for updates right here. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the About deal, and then there should be a place to enter some registry information or registration information, and you will find that info right here in the registered license text. Just enter that info right in there, and that's it. You may have to restart the program. And after you restarted it, we're going to move on to step 5, which is just to test it to make sure that the AT3 format ability is there. And you can make a shortcut to your desktop here for the Goldwave program. I'm just going to drag this MP3 here. We're going to go into File, again, Save As, and then change this to Wave, which is the top one. Come down here, and when you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you should now see your 3 AT3 choices: 66, 105, and 132 kbps. If you do, then that's it. You're golden, and you are good to go. So we can close this up. And now let's go ahead and start the conversion process. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and open up I'm going to open up Odyssey. And I already have, again, I'm not showing you guys how to edit the sound files here. I already have a nice music file that I found online that's just audio. It has like a mellow, cool beat to it. So I just copied and pasted a certain portion that's only about a minute long, and I pasted it down here to this bottom track. Once I did that, then I could just go up here and kind of close the main track out, and then edit this one however I like. I put a fade in, a fade out. Now here's the important thing. The PS3 is going to take these sound files that we are making, which are .AT3 sound files, and it speeds them up. It speeds them up like about by around 5% or so. So what you need to do is, so that it doesn't sound all weird and too fast, you're going to need to slow down your track. So in this case, I highlighted the whole track here. Oops, let me just hit Control A. There we go. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do change speed. Now you could do this with, whatever sound editing tool you're going to use, and just slow it down. Now I usually slow it down by about 5%, 5.5, maybe 6%, somewhere right around there. In this case, I did 5.5. So I put negative 5.5 in this box, and then I hit OK. That means it's going to slow it down by 5.5%. Since the PS3 speeds it up by around 5 or 6%, it will sound normal when the PS3 plays it. Now, I'm not going to do it because I've already done it to this track. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to save it to my desktop. We're going to call it, let's just call it test number 2. That's 2. Now you can save it in whatever quality you want, the higher the better, but don't save it higher than what the original track is. So this track originally was 256 kbps, so I'm going to save it as like 160 or 192. It doesn't matter because we're going to change it anyway. Just don't save it higher. So if it was like 128 kbps, don't do 160 or 192 because it's not going to make it better. So let me go ahead and click save there. If you see any kind of information here on this window, if you happen to be using this program, just hit clear, so it clears everything out, and then hit OK, and it should convert it now to over to my desktop, and here it is right there. All right, so when we play it, let me fast forward it here a bit. All right, you see it's kind of mellow and slow. Now the PS3 is going to play it a little bit quicker, which is okay. All right, so now the next step that we need to do is open up Goldwave. All right, so let's go ahead and open up Goldwave. And we're going to take our edited file and drag it into the window. And then we're going to go ahead and click File, click Save As. We're going to go here and we're going to pick the very top one, which is Wave. Then we're going to go here to the selector, scroll down to the bottom, and you should see your 3 AT3 choices. 132 kbps being the better quality of the 3. It's not the greatest quality, but it's the best of the 3. And just remember, this will affect your final file size. It doesn't affect it all that much. It just makes it a little bit larger if you do pick the best one. Now mine is a 1-minute soundbite. I'm going to pick the 132 because it shouldn't be all that large. It's set to test2.wave, which is fine. It's saving to my desktop. That's good. Let's just click save. And by the way, the PS3 isn't that great with like really heavy bass or when there's a lot going on a track. You have all these different instruments and sounds and stuff going. It's not all that great. So just keep that in mind too. You'll figure that out as you go along. All right, so it finished here, and there is the test.wave file. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're going to rename it. So you can go ahead and click rename. We're going to delete everything, and we are going to rename it SND0, and that's a 0, not the letter O, .AT3. So SND0.AT3, hit enter, enter again for yes, and that's it. Your sound file, believe it or not, is done. You can put it into your game or into your app, and it should play fine. The thing is, here it's not set on a loop, which means that when it gets to the end of the file, it's going to stop. Now that might work depending on what you want the sound file for, and I'll show you the difference here in a bit. But if you want it to loop when it gets to the end, if you want it to start all over again, I'm going to show you how to do that really easy. And I actually put 2 methods for you to do that with. So let's go into that unzipped folder that you put on your desktop. Let's do this first method. Let's go into AT3 Plus Tool version 10.exe. Open that up. and then just drag your AT3 file there. Set your destination, which mine is already set as the desktop. Make sure loop option is set to yes, and then just click on gold wave. And this will not make the file any bigger. It will stay the same size. And you can see here it added this folder, and there is the file. Now you're going to have to rename it here because it made the little AT really small. So we can just do F2 to rename, delete those two, and then just put AT. Boom. And now it's all caps, and now it's looped and ready to go. Let me show you the other method. Let me go ahead and delete this. Just in case one method doesn't work, you can use the other. So this is the other method to do the loop. Go into this folder here, the JWAT3, then click on the exe file. Then again, drag the AT3 file here, and then all you have to do is hit start. And here it will save it to the same location as the AT3 file, and it put it right here, and it just named it loop, or looped SND0. Of course, you're going to have to rename it to this one. So I'm going to keep it looped. I'm just going to delete the original one. Let's keep this one. Let's hit F2 to rename it, delete everything, SND0.AT3. All right, and that's it. And now this is the looped version. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's head on over to the PS3 and let's see how it sounds. Okay, so I went ahead and I'm going to do it this way. I set up my PS3 like this because it's a little bit easier to show you while I'm on the PC. And by the way, this file here, some of you may have caught it. I renamed it wrong. I actually had the letter O there instead of 0, so I already fixed it. This is the looped one I just made, and I changed the O to a 0, so it's good to go. All right, so I'm going to do this via FTP because I have a fully jailbroken system. If you have a jailbroken system and you can't do the FTP thing and you want to do this via a file manager, just take this AT3 file, stick it anywhere on your USB you want, go into whatever file manager you want, like the one in Multimen or whatever, and then just transfer the file there. So let me just show you here real quick. I'm going to open up FileZilla. We're going to go into dev HDD0. And again, those of you who are using a file manager can just follow along. Apps are installed in the game folder of the dev HDD0 directory, so you can go there and you'll see the folders here. You can kind of figure out which one is which if you can. If you're trying to figure out which game is which or which app is which, just go into it and double click on the icon 0 PNG. When you're there, if you're using a file manager, the image will just show. If you're here, of course, you're going to have to extract that image to your desktop or something and look at it so you know which one is which. So the Mana Guns one, though, is easy to figure out because it actually says Mana Guns, and that's where we're going to be using it on here. Your PS3 games, PS2 games, the PS2 games that are package type format will install here in this directory as well. PS3 games that are package type format will install here. If you want to add sound to your folder type format games, then just come here instead to the games directory. You'll see your games there. Go into the folder, and then the sound file will always go here into the PS3_game folder. That's where it will go, and you'll just plop it in there. See, I already have one there for Grand Theft Auto. All right, so let's go ahead and let me show you here Mana Guns, which I don't think, let me make sure, let me go back to it. Let me make sure there's nothing there. Nope, nothing there. So when we go to it on here on the PS3, see I'm highlighting it and there's no sound. When you go and put sound, it's best not to have it active or be hovering over it. Let me take that file, drag it in here, and it will go right in here. For those of you who are using Han, when you unpackage your package file, whether it's a PS2 or a PS3 game or whatever, the sound file will go right on the root where all your main files are, like the icon 0, the param, and the USR-dir. So that's where it goes. And then you just repack it all up. Okay, so we put the file in there. Let's go back into Mana Guns. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it starts off kind of low, and it should get a little bit louder here in a second. But you should be able to already hear it. And the speed is a little bit quicker than when I played it here on my Music B. Alright, and there you go. So now it's playing. All right. Now, here's the difference, and I showed you this at the beginning, but let me show you again.
Soul Calibur 3.
Now see, I had it say Soul Calibur 3, and there I didn't put it on a loop because I didn't want it to keep saying Soul Calibur 3, Soul Calibur 3. I didn't put it on a loop. I just wanted to say it one time. So now I won't say it again until I highlight the game again. But here, for SSX Tricky, I want it to play. When it gets to the end, I want it to start over and play the song again because it's a cool song. So this one I did put on a loop, and you can see this one does have an animation. Alright, so anyway, that's how you do it. I'm going to be doing probably animation one next. That way, you know, you guys can, if you want to do the PS2 games or PS1 games, PS3 games or whatever, and you just want to put everything together, the soundbite, the animation and everything, you know, you don't have to wait that long to get the animation tutorial. That's going to be the next one. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Sorry it was so long. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe, and we're going to see you on the next one.